The Marshall Podcast.
How's it going? Welcome to the Marshall Podcast, episode number 5. My name is Daniel P. Carter, and I will be your host for this. The guest for this one is Lee Kiernan from Bristol-based indie rock champs IDLES, and in the last few years have seen them release 2 incredible albums, 2017's Brutalism and 2018's Joy as an Act of Resistance. They've played some truly visceral, exciting and inspiring shows both here and abroad, and they've basically proven to the world that they're one of the most vital bands in the scene right now. I met up with Lee the morning that the band were headlining the illustrious Alexandra Palace venue in London. I went to his hotel and we sat in the cafe downstairs discussing the place that IDLES find themselves in now, his early discovery of music, life in a band, and the importance of maintaining mental health whilst touring. Because the interview was done in the hotel, there was a lot of background noise, a bunch of talking around us, and I swear as soon as they realised that I'd put mics out where we were sat, they cranked the music on the speaker that was right above us. So that was ace. So with the help of a program from Isotope, shout out Dave, I was able to raise the voices, hide most of the background noise, which is not only pretty incredible, but there's also, it gets a little disconcerting at times because as the music got louder, I had to crank the filter and it sounds a little bit like we're conversing while sat in a robotic lake. But that aside, I was able to get the conversation out of the mire, and I think it's a really good one. Lee and I had only met a couple of times before that, and we hadn't really hung out, but I think his band's ace, and he's super smart and funny, and he's a very open guy. This is Lee Kiernan from IDLES. Enjoy. So far, the ones we've done have been, so started, Slash was the first one.
Of course. I met Slash recently.
How was that?
It was absolutely mental.
Yeah.
We were playing the ACL festival in Austin.
Yeah.
And me and a couple of boys were just shopping, like charity shopping. And Slash was in there with his family, just in a charity shop.
Amazing.
Like, you know, it's just weird, really. He's one of my biggest heroes. Like,
yeah.
The whole reason I use Marshall is because of Slash.
Really?
Yeah, like entirely.
So, what did you speak to him?
Yeah. We had a little chat. He was lovely. Really.
Yeah, he is super nice.
Really calm. Really calm.
Yeah, and super down to earth for somebody that's been in one of the biggest bands on the planet ever.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always found him to be super cool, and having been through so much, like very level-headed about it all.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, look, I didn't get like a nice amount of time to speak to him. It was a very, very brief encounter. But it turns out his son's a big fan of our band, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He didn't have a clue who we were, which is kind of expected.
Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like he had no idea, you know. When I told him the name of our band, he didn't have a clue.
That's funny though, because I think he'd probably be into it, knowing the stuff that he's into.
Probably, I'd say the same.
Yeah.
I think he would be a fan.
But then if his kid was stoked on it, then that's probably going to lead to something.
Maybe
Next
one
thing
day.
you know, you're going to be sporting GNR.
That, I mean, well, we did Foo Fighters, so.
Yeah. How was that?
That was weird.
Yeah.
Again, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, Dave Grohl.
Yeah. He's lovely.
Genuinely lovely.
And just stoked on music as well.
Completely, yeah.
And keeping on top of things. I remember before Royal Blood did those runner shows with them.
Yeah.
I was interviewing him for like a Foo Fighters album release. And we finished the interview and then he was like, so tell me about this band Royal Blood. What they're like, what are they nice dudes? You know, and was...
Yeah,
and I was like, this is cool. It shows that he gives a shit and,
and
he's on top of things and
keeps his ear to the ground, doesn't he?
Yeah. How did that come about?
What, Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Oh, that was, it was mentioned that we were in the running to support him at the O2. So Talbot was thinking of ideas of how we could, you know, make our name stand out more.
Yeah.
So he came up with the idea that we took a picture of Dev, our bassist, in his pants, holding a sign saying "Pick Idols." Then we had it made into a puzzle and put into a blank box, and then sent it to no, seriously. So I sent it to the agent, the Foo Fighters agent, and then obviously they made the puzzle. They chose us.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that real?
That's
true.
Yeah, absolutely true. 100% true.
Either way, I'd be stoked on it. But that's incredible.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can't believe it worked, but it happened.
Wow. And then how many shows did you do with them?
Just one.
Yeah.
Just the O2.
Just the O2.
Yeah, I know, I said that really weird. Sorry about that.
No, it's got enough. I think it's wicked. And like you're doing Ali Pali
it was
tonight,
beyond. Yeah, no. Again, like, we're not even. I don't think it's sunk in at all yet. At all. Like when we played the O2, there was no expectation. It didn't matter. It was just this thing that we never thought we'd ever do. Because you have these dreams throughout your life of where you're going to play and what shows you want to do. So you, like, you know, at Brixton Academy, and there's venues like it's Leeds Bruder now. You know, these like small, like iconic venues, and you dream of playing in all these venues. Not once do you ever think, yeah, I really want to play the O2.
But you just don't. Just start ticking them off,
It just doesn't cross your mind because you never think it's ever going to happen. And then all of a sudden it just did. And it happened at a time when we weren't, like, no one knew who we were. So it was just completely surreal. And it didn't matter. It mattered entirely, but it just felt like it was just a chance to just go out there, be us, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
How'd it go across?
50-50.
Yeah?
Yeah,
50%
50% of people loved it, 50% will hate it.
50% of the O2 is what, like 9,000 people? So there you go.
I reckon there was probably about 10,000 when we were playing.
There you go.
So the same amount as tonight. Except this time they're actually coming to see us tonight.
That's wild. Dude.
It's mental. Honestly.
Like I said, I saw an ad earlier and it totally came out wrong, I think, and now he probably thinks I'm a total prick. But I was like, yeah, it's mental you're playing there. And I didn't mean it to sound like, what are you guys doing playing? I didn't mean it like that. I meant it's just, as you've said, I think when somebody forms a band, especially a band that's as pushing what they do, rather than it being very like a vanilla thing, it's all the things that everybody is into, or what I assume everyone is into, the things that I find the touchstones within your band, you know, like, I don't know, like a lot of the late 90s kind of noise rock, and then like a lot of New York indie pop, like stuff, and bands like Fugazi. They're the things that attracted me to your band. I don't even know if any of you listen to that sort of stuff, but
so yeah, a bit, yeah.
But
we always get the comparison
that resonated with me. Yeah, you wouldn't expect the rise the way it's been, and I think it's incredible. And it speaks very much about the quality of the band and the songs and the shows, but also about the way things are at the moment. You know. Yeah,
I think the time we're in has really helped us. It's It's one of those things that happens, isn't it? You get these cycles of music with political unrest, and it does help.
But then the band is a reaction to those things anyway. So that's So that's just like it's a snake eating its own tail, isn't it? It's not, oh, we happen to be this band and we lucked in because everything's shit at the moment. It's a case of you're making art as a reaction to everything being shit at the moment.
I think
and other people realise that.
The thing that we've always done more than anything is we worked hard.
Yeah.
We just kept working hard. We don't take anything for granted. The fact where we are now is, I truly think it's insane that we're playing Alexandra Palace. I think it's insane that we're playing Alexandra Palace, let alone sold it out in a day. That's just beyond anything any of us ever imagined. When we even went to release this, all of us were just like, it's just wrong.
Are we going to be all right?
Yeah.
Are we? That's wicked though, that everybody is like that about it, because it's no expectation. It's taking nothing for granted. It's ace.
Yeah, I mean, well, we just love what we do and we want to keep doing it for as long as possible. So we don't want to take massive jumps, because if you take massive jumps, sometimes it doesn't pay off. And, you know, it's not like you don't take risks, but we've always been the build of our rise has always been steady. It's been slow, and it may seem fast to a lot of people.
Yeah,
because
that's something I wanted to talk to you about, because I think from the outside perspective, from like brutalism to joy, people have just gone, whoa, this band's suddenly, it's been a meteoric rise. But people never actually realise that people that play in bands have lives and have worked really hard, and it's all about getting to a certain point which you can never really see anyway. You just kind of have to move with it as it's always happening, right?
Very much. You just got to take your time, sit in the shadows, and wait for your moment. Really, there was this like period of time where our manager was like, "You're not going to play any shows." And we were all like, "What do you mean we're not going to play any shows?" Like, you just don't play many shows. Just keep your heads down, keep writing, and then when it's time, we'll explode out onto the circuit. And we were all there just writing. We rehearsed like 3 days a week, 2 hours on a Tuesday, 2 hours on a Thursday, all day Sunday, and this was like 4 hours Tuesday, 4 hours Thursday, and then we do this every single week without fail, every week. For like 2 years, and we weren't playing shows. Playing a show here, like probably played like 6 shows in a year on one of them. And I'd ring up our manager and I'd be like, "What the fuck is this? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Like, why aren't we playing shows? We should be playing shows." Now he turns around to me and he says, "Have you got enough shows?" And I always think, "Yeah, all right, you got me." Because what is it? We play about 150 a year now, which is insane.
Yeah, and all across the planet as well,
constantly, which is amazing.
How do you find that?
I love touring.
Yeah,
I love seeing new places. It's very hard on your mental health.
Yeah.
People don't understand how it gets you because you don't stop.
Yeah.
And it seems like this like whirlwind of excitement, but it's not a lot of the time.
That's the thing, isn't it? I think people always assume that the glamour of touring, you know, they think it's like, oh, wow, you're going to here. And they don't realise the sort of insular nature of it. Because before, you know, bands would just be expected to go on tour and it would be this, I don't know, it's just assumed like, whoa, you're just out partying all the time. And no one realises that once you're locked in that bubble, you just kind of, it can start imploding on itself really easily. I found it that way. And I found coming off of tour really tough, personally.
Yeah. No, I do too. I find having this like, it's like separate spheres almost. So you have your tour life and you have your home life.
Yeah.
Something I always try and be aware of is that they are the same thing. It's one life.
Yeah.
But there is also reappropriating your mental state into 2 different zones, which you can't help but have to do.
Yeah.
And I when I'm on tour, I'm usually pretty good. I've been through a lot in my life, and I've done a lot of therapy. I was in rehab, and I've always been much more aware of my emotions, my feelings, and my mental state. But every now and then it catches up with you. Just being on tour constantly, and then just having the same scenario of just going around the world, not really seeing any of it, and just being kind of like numb to it all.
Yeah.
And then when you get home, you're tired. You don't really want to be home.
Yeah.
And then you need to go back out again, but then you don't want to go out because you get lost again, and then you get into this little cycle.
Yeah.
But we've always just been open with each other on tour. We tell each other if we're not feeling well, and we just talk as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that's so important, man, because most bands don't want to do that. I think the thing is, I mean, most people don't want to do that at the best of times, but especially in something like a band where it's just like everybody's kind of, oh, we've got to do this because then we'll do this and maybe we'll get to do that. And you get caught up in the stream of it, and it's easy to get lost in what you've kind of always dreamed about doing as somebody that started playing in a band.
Yeah.
You can't believe their luck, but also the reality of it can be just, it properly crushes people.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the things that happens is that if you do this will happen. And if you do that, then that will happen. And then you do get stuck in the cycle of that. You definitely get locked into believing that if you keep going, everything's going to get better. Well, actually, if you keep going, you might also run yourself into the ground.
Yeah,
and then you
wear
won't
it all thin.
yeah, you won't see the end result. You'll just be mush on the floor, or you'll quit touring because you just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
funny that Nick Drake starts playing then. It's funny that this is playing now, because that was his whole story, wasn't it? Nick Drake. I think he did one tour, and he was so painfully shy. He just sat with his back to the audience when he would play, and he got like halfway through the tour, and he was just like, I can't deal with it. It's just funny that starts playing.
Yeah.
Talking about this, it sounds like you lot have then got that fairly sorted then, as far as like navigating it to be open and talk.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it catches up with you. All of us, each one of us are different. We're completely different people.
Well, yeah.
So each one of us will have our own reaction each day. And sometimes you might be helping someone. Sometimes you might just be ignoring someone. You just stare out of each other's way. But we're all very much aware nowadays of how to be around each other.
Yes.
And when
I think that's part of the trick, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, that old cliche of like, being in a band's like a marriage.
It's family. That's what it is.
It really is. And, that's hard to navigate at times.
Yeah, we're not friends. when you're just not friends. It's a group of brothers that love and hate each other.
Yeah.
And you never know what day, which emotion that's going to be.
Yeah.
So I can go for a whole week of hating all of them. Or I can go for a whole month of loving all of them. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll just see what happens. Today, I don't know. I haven't seen any of them yet.
But that's the thing about being in a group and being creative together. That's just the nature of it, isn't it? Because if it wasn't that, then the band wouldn't sound the way it does.
Yeah, there was this period of time when we were that time when we were just like writing and rehearsing constantly. We'd be in the practice room, we'd just be screaming at each other, like violently shouting, screaming, almost to fights.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd all be like, "What are we like? Why? What are we doing? Why are we doing this?" But I always thought that we wouldn't have been who we were without that.
Yeah,
we just couldn't, because we're also unapologetically honest. Like we will always be unapologetically honest to each other, because that's the way it should be. Like,
has it been like that from the start though?
Yeah, always. Yeah,
like
straight in.
Because I did want to do how you got into music and stuff. Yeah, but it's kind of going backwards. But yeah, how did that all start for you? Like,
music?
Yeah,
just for a young age, really. It's always on, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always there.
Yeah, but all of us grow up, and we're surrounded by music constantly, but there's a point where you suddenly go, this is more than something that I just want to be surrounded by. It's something I want to be involved in. And then it's a weird thing, because it's almost.
It was when all my whole childhood would be like Phil Collins and Motown and the Beatles. That would be my mum and dad playing music all the time. Diana Ross constantly.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But the moment I heard Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, I wouldn't shut up to my mum about getting piano lessons.
Really?
It was like I just needed to learn how to play that song. It's like it overtook me. So
that's crazy, man.
That was it.
That little
crappy Casio plastic keyboard. We got that keyboard out at my mum's house recently.
Yeah.
For my niece, and my fingers don't fit on it anymore. It's that small.
Wow.
It's so good.
How old were you then?
I don't know. It's like 8 to 10 or something.
And you was like, I need to learn how to play piano.
Yeah, that was it.
So then, wow. Okay.
I mean, I didn't start playing guitar until I was 15.
Okay.
Did
you get quite far into playing piano then?
Not really, no. I mean, I'm the most haphazard musician that's ever come about.
Yeah,
I cared, but my level of interest to be the best compared to my interest in drinking drugs at the time was severely outweighed. Like, I couldn't just couldn't just focus on music. I couldn't. My brain was consumed by substances from a young age. I just couldn't. So I've never really been that good.
I mean, define what's good. Like, does that mean technical proficiency, or does that mean being a creative and exciting musician? That's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a funny one though, because I think for me, growing up as a kid, when I first got into music, it was always more like metal stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was something that it was all about people that were shredders and proficiency. But then it was when I discovered indie and grunge and punk and hardcore, that's when I suddenly realised that doesn't matter at all. We can just, it's not about that. It's just about the desire to play music.
Yeah, massively. Like the different realms of music it's one of the greatest things about it, isn't it? So like I can sit down and listen to Mozart's Requiem back from start to finish continuously, and I can listen to the same song a million times, and it will give me a completely different reaction every time, because there's so many complexities within the music.
Yeah.
There's so many things happening throughout it. And then you can give me Blink-182, all the small things, and I'll hear it a million times and I'll feel the exact same thing every time. It's just that simplicity of what it is.
Yeah.
And I think when I was younger, I heard all these, because I heard all this Motown and Diana Ross and the Beatles, and then classical came into my life. And the next thing I knew, it was things like Blink-182 and rock, and then I was like, what is this? Like, this has got aggression and anger. And
what were the bands that really made you want to play guitar then for a start?
Oh, it would have been Blink. I got Tom DeLonge's guitar. You know, I had the Strat with the single pickup. I mean, all of my guitars now are single bridge pickup.
Yeah.
And it's not because of Tom DeLonge's, but it was the most simplest and viable option for me playing live. Nothing breaks.
Yeah.
Because it goes pickup, volume, output.
Jobs are good.
That's it. And whenever I have all the extra things or the switches, and they all just get broken. They break and I get sweat in them, and then they start playing up, and then the guitar starts not working. So just keep it simple, it works. I wonder if that's what he did. I wonder if that's why.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of times when you speak to guitarists, it's about finding their voice. You know what I mean? In the sense of how you've got to the point that you are, and a lot of people, I don't know. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about the balance between proficiency and economy for what you want to do. It's amazing that's why you sound the way you do. It's just plug it in, go, it's good. We're golden.
Jobs are good. And,
yeah.
Well, I got loads of pedals though.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, there's a lot going on the floor there.
Yeah.
The guitar's not doing the work, but the pedal board is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, Avenged Sevenfold is a huge influence on me.
Really?
Yeah, massive.
That's mental.
I mean, Sinister Gates was an
so funny,
absolute amazing guitarist.
That's so funny, because that stuff that seems like the antithesis of what you're doing.
I know. I mean, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard.
Yeah, I knew you were a big Crue fan.
Massive. All 80s metal. It changed my life completely.
Yeah.
Because that brazen nature of it all. I mean, all of that stuff.
Can you still listen to a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, it's of a time. It's an era, you know, people making it now. It's kind of I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But the 80s were the 80s. That's what they were, you know?
Yeah.
It was like that. And the music that came of it is absolutely insane. And it's enjoyable. Plus Bon Jovi. I mean, he knew how to write a love song, didn't he? You know?
Yeah, I guess. The thing is with me is when that stuff was really big, it just that made music feel totally unobtainable in a way, because it was such this ridiculous, grandiose, sort of hedonistic lifestyle that was portrayed. It was almost mythical. I spoke to Perry Farrell not so long ago, because I'm a huge Jane's Addiction fan, and I remember growing up in a little village, on the other side of the planet from this band that just seemed to be like the most artful, wild. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. And then when you actually meet those people, they've all been through the same thing, I think.
I think so. I mean, the time that I got into all the 80s music was a time when I was heavily into drugs anyway. So I think it just sort of resonated with me, that fast-paced lifestyle. So I wanted to live the sex, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle. But I'd stopped playing guitar or playing in bands, so I didn't do anything anymore. I was just taking drugs, and fucking about all over the place, because that was all I had left. Couldn't really function on anything else. Definitely couldn't use my brain. So I just thought I was living the rock and roll lifestyle without the rock and roll.
Yeah, that's something I found, the almost trap of it. Like a lot of people, were you still making music at that point?
I was on my own.
Yeah.
But it was me sat in, like, I take a shitload of coke and then try and record something on guitar. And I've had some old recordings before, and I can't get them anymore because they're on the computer that's died.
Yeah.
But I remember listening back to them, and you can hear the start of me writing the song, and it sounds all right and coherent, and it's in time, and it's all good. And then as the drink and the drugs have really started to sink in, it's just all over the shop.
Becomes more manic.
The song just moves and changes. And I remember looking back at them and just thinking, like, what a load of shit that is. So it starts good when I'm fairly sober. And then it just turns into an absolute mush.
The thing that I think about is there's so many artists that I love that you know that they were like heavily into certain things, like different drugs, and it's almost like it becomes a point where people go, the reason they were great was because David Bowie lived on red peppers, milk and cocaine for 2 years. And it's like, well, no, that wasn't why it was great. So it almost gets to the point where people would assume that to be great, you have to then emulate that. And
I mean, I've achieved more in the last 7 years than I have in my entire life.
Is that how long you've been sober?
7.5 years.
Yeah. Nice.
I mean, when I was in, one of the biggest impacts of my life was when I was in rehab. There was a guy in there too who was an artist, and he would make these little sculptures, and then like certain days he'd teach us how to make the sculptures too. And then I was very nervous at all this because it meant that I had to be creative, sober.
Yeah.
And it used to give me anxiety that I couldn't be creative and be sober. I couldn't do the two things. And he basically just said, it's utter nonsense. So you just let yourself go. And you do the thing that your brain wants to do. And it just changed my life there and then. I sat there, I made sculptures and painted things, and then I took a guitar into rehab with me, and I just sat there and I played guitar every day. That was it. I found my love of playing music again. It just came straight back. After like 4 years of not playing guitar, I was back. I was sober and I was writing again, and it was like a refresh, a restart in my life.
What was the impetus for that?
What do you mean?
Deciding that this is what I need to do.
It wasn't even a decision of this is what I need to do. It was more like, I am going to do the things that I used to do that made me happy.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are necessarily, and I don't know how many of them I'm going to keep doing, or I don't know what ones are going to stay with me. And I had no plan. I just said to myself, it's time to do the things that made me happy. And that was it. And things that made me happy were playing guitar, riding BMX, and listening to music, going to live shows. And they just started doing all that again. The next thing you know, I ended up in IDLES.
How did you join them? Because you joined was it 2015? No.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, they were already going, right, when you joined?
Yeah, they were. It's been about 5 years.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the old guitarists left, and they were looking for a new one, and I just put my name forward.
You knew the band by that
Yeah,
point?
I knew Joe.
Yeah.
We used to drink together in town. So,
okay.
Like in Bristol. And so yeah, I just put my name forward, and that was it. I had a little. It just happened.
Yeah.
I did an audition.
You did an audition?
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
It was so terrifying. It was. I don't even know if I knew how to play guitar anymore at that point either. Everything was so fresh.
Yeah.
I think I'd been out of rehab for about just under a year or something.
Okay.
So
do you remember what was the score? What did you have to do? What was it?
I had to learn one of their existing songs, right on top of one of their new songs, and come up with an idea for a new one. I think. So I just did that. I mean,
that's funny.
It was. Did
it go well? Well, yeah, I mean, clearly,
it was.
But at the time,
surprisingly
how did it feel?
Smooth.
Yeah.
Man, I was. No, the anxiety was through the roof.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd put myself on the line so hard. I was not ready to do this, but it worked. I mean, it just worked. I mean, if I was to go back in time, would I do it again? I have no idea. Like, I think it fell into alignment. And I just had to go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked in the room.
Did it click straight away? I find great bands, there's this sort of magical thing where it's clearly everyone, you've said earlier, like you guys would be screaming at each other in rehearsals, but at the same time, there's this thing that just clicks and makes it special. Was that apparent straight away, do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's so long ago now.
Yeah.
It's and plus, I don't think I was thinking straight back then. And I just it all went past so quick. It just happened. And then I had to play my first show with them.
How long after joining was that? Was it quite soon?
Like 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And it was headlining Start the Bus in Bristol for New Year's Eve. It was like I hadn't played guitar in front of anyone for like 5-6 years, and I certainly had to play guitar sober for a hell of a long time. And then I had to play this headline show, like 400 people. I was like absolutely petrified. I had notes written on the floor in front of me, just so I could remember. I don't think I moved once. I think I stood like absolutely still, rigid. But I mean, that's it now, isn't it? Now look at us. I mean, it's so bizarre, all of it.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how it's been. So from an outside perspective, to see the band, as we said, it has, it's been a slow and steady climb. But to a lot of people, it would appear that, all of a sudden, whoa, there's this brand new band that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
How's that felt, like being on that? Because there's things, isn't it, like we said earlier about like that weird thing about, you never really imagine you're going to quite play the O2 or do Jules Holland or,
I mean, we dreamt of doing Jules Holland.
Yeah, of course.
We wanted to do that one. That one was actually in the books. Glastonbury this year, that was probably the greatest show we've ever played.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just insane, man. All of us cried.
Yeah.
We just lost it. Couldn't believe it. It's a complete dream come true.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, it's Jules Holland as well. All of it. It kind of just still doesn't make sense in my head that all these things have happened. That we've actually done them.
That's really beautiful, though. It's not taking any of it for granted.
You just can't. You just can't take it for granted.
People do, though.
I just don't understand it.
And that's when it all starts to go to shit, I think.
It's one of the most wonderful things you can do. I mean, touring is hard, yes. Sitting in a van for 9 hours in a day because you got to get from one state to another state in America is hard. But then there's all these things around it all. It's wonderful. Like you're sat on a plane and you're flying over the Alps and you're just looking out the window, just looking at them and thinking like, the fuck is that? You fly over Greenland and it's just the sheet of ice and you're like, what's that? And then you sat in the van, you're driving through the Rockies in America. And you maybe sat there for 9 hours, but you're looking at the Rockies. I mean, you're not. It's
a long way from Bristol, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think earlier this year I went on holiday to Iceland. And it was one of the most surreal feelings because I stood at the foot, like the mouth, the very beginning of a glacier. Like, no one else around. And I just thought to myself, like, 15 years ago, I didn't think I was ever going to leave England. My life was not going to do any of this. And now I go around the world several times. I get to see so much. It's the biggest honor. And not only that, every night that I play, I have the biggest therapy session anyone can ever experience. So if I'm happy, if I'm having a good day and I'm really happy, I'll have a really, really happy and exuberant show. If I'm sad, then I'll get it all out on stage. And if I'm angry, you'll see me have a violent and angry show. But again, no matter what, when I walk off stage after, I'm all right. I reset. I get it all out. It's all done.
Yeah. Are you one of those people that some people really beat themselves up about shows?
Sometimes, but sometimes things just happen. You just can. Like, we're all a bit haphazard. So if we don't play that good, it's like, all right, we didn't play that good. Sort it out. Fix it tomorrow.
Yeah. But then again, you ask anyone that's walking out the door at a venue after a gig and go, oh, what did you think about this bit of this song? Do you think no one's going to go, it was
exactly.
Everyone will just like walk
I always
out
think
and think it's incredible.
You shouldn't think that when you're playing though, because if you think that, you let yourself get a bit lazy. And you don't want to get lazy. I don't want to be lazy. I want to play the best I can every night. But if I make a shoddy little mistake, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm just going to go, don't do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just be aware. So I just be aware of it, and it won't happen again.
Yeah.
I try not to make the same mistake twice anymore. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then, but with I think all of us we rehearse so much that even the haphazard mistakes kind of sound tight. Like we played these songs so much together. Sometimes you can just fall off somewhere and do something else and then just come back again. I mean, there's one of my favorite shows was years ago in Howdenpop. It's a little festival in Germany. And we played the Spiegel tent. And at one point, it was probably one of the worst shows we've ever played. But it was also one of the most incredible, like, energetic shows we've ever played. Yeah. It was, but at one point, I just stopped playing guitar and I tripped Bowen up and then just dragged him around the floor by his guitar. And he's there screaming and you go, what are you doing? So neither of us are playing guitar now. Yeah. And the rest of the band is still doing their thing. And I'm just dragging him around the floor. And I'm just like pissing myself in laughter, just thinking like, what are we doing? Yeah. And then just the whole night, just shit like that all night, just kept going on. It's just fun, isn't it? Yeah. And if it sounds bad in that moment, it's all right because people can see why it sounds bad. Yeah. I mean, if that was being recorded for a radio session, I mean, different bad. Exactly. Yeah. There would be questions to be asked. But if you can see what people are doing, if you can see people are genuinely having fun, then you kind of have fun with them. Even if it sounds awful, you're just like, that's quite funny.
This is awesome. Yeah.
So it's fine. You know, we take ourselves really seriously as a band and we want to be the best we can be. Yeah. But we don't take ourselves seriously.
That's what I think is amazing. That's what I think is incredible.
We just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
To do to play such visceral music and broach such topics in such a way that most bands don't, or a lot of people shy away from. especially at the level you're at. But actually to just have, like exuberance, as you say, to deliver it, that is amazing. Everything in life is a balance, isn't it? And to be able to deliver those things in that manner, I think it's amazing.
I mean, I want it to still be fun.
Yeah.
It has to be fun. If it stops being fun, then what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just work then. Like,
even then, it wouldn't be a bad job.
No, not at all. But that's the kind of the joy of this job, isn't it? That it's meant to be fun work.
Yeah.
I don't like
fun work.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I've had loads of shit jobs. I've worked from the bottom of up. I feel like that doesn't even make any sense. I've just had loads of shit jobs.
Yeah,
and I just don't want to go back to them. And I want this job to be the job that I do for life. I want it to be the thing that's fun and hard. Like, work hard, but have fun with it.
Yeah, and it be rewarding. And I don't mean like fiscally. I mean like for your well-being,
my soul.
Exactly. Spiritually,
I think I agree completely. It should be wholly rewarding.
Yeah,
and it will be, and it is now.
Yeah,
really. I mean,
yeah, it seems to be.
The more we go, the more of a balance we find with it as well.
Yeah,
I think the last few years have been quite tough because of constant touring, but we're finding a good balance with it.
And because of some of the things that have happened, it must be, it pushes you off. It pushes you off balance, right? Because it can be wrong footing to suddenly go, oh, what? Okay, yeah, we're doing this, we're supporting Foo Fighters, or we're doing that, or we're on telly, and you know, and to be able to constantly come back to like a level equilibrium for it all is really tough, man.
Yeah,
I think you're doing from what I see, I think you lot are doing an amazing job of it, and it's really, really exciting to see. And
the further we've gone, the more balance has come of all realms.
Yeah, so because you learn more about it, don't you? You learn more about what the parameters of where we are and what we're doing, and
you as a person as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest joys of life, isn't it? Discovering yourself.
Yeah.
Who are you? What are you? What are you meant to do? Is this for you? See, one of the things I always question was, like, how could anyone quit playing in a band?
Yeah.
And then, like, the more you do it, you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I get it. I'm not like, it's not something I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But I completely understand why people can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just not a normal life at all.
No. But it's something that we as kids all kind of looked to and thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. I looked up. I thought I wanted to. The funny, like, that 80s era that I was in, where I wanted that sex, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle. Now, I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
I desperately do not want it.
But that's growing up, though, isn't it?
I couldn't tour and be on drugs. Are you kidding? I don't know how they did that.
No.
I don't know how anyone still does it. Like, even
I never got it either.
I say it's absolute punishment. I'm knackered every day. Like, I don't want to be waking up thinking I need another crack pipe every morning as well. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's too much. That's just too much.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
I love that you've had this little list of. I feel like that little bit of paper has had questions on it, and you haven't looked at it once.
I don't want it to be that, though. I want these to be conversations. I find it more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel you.
I mean, so I saw that you'd been working on a new record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Well, it's recorded.
Done.
Yeah, we
mixed.
Not yet mixed. It's still in the mixing process. We'll be there soon. And that's that, really. That's all I can say. So that's all we got for you. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's I don't even know how to explain it.
Do you feel like there was more not pressure, but I
feel like there's pressure every time.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, every album there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
And then, like, yes, getting number 5 in the album chart for Joy, because, like, there was pressure to write Joy after Brutalism did all right. Like, it did all right. Everyone like surprisingly, it did much better than we ever thought it was going to do. And then Joy got number 5 in the charts. I mean, that was beyond expectation. So yes, there is more pressure for album 3, but it's still the same pressure as it always is in many ways, where you really want to do the best you can do.
Yeah.
You want to write the most coherent and expressive piece, like album as you can. Joe had a really good vision for this album and the message behind it, and it carried us through really a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like we all, like I personally struggled on this album quite a bit to fall into alignment, just from post-touring constantly and not being. I don't think my head was right. It didn't click back into writing because we were still touring Joy.
Yeah.
So I found it very hard to distinguish the two things. And
yeah, because they're very different mindsets, aren't they?
They are, but it should still be possible. You should be able to just, figure the two paths. But I couldn't. It was a bit of a tough year, really, to be honest. But it was all good. And Joe was steadfast on everything, and it made it easier for me. For him being that concise and that brutally
focused.
Yeah, completely focused. It made me believe in it. It made me believe in his idea, and it made me. By the end of recording the album, I was just there. I got it. I got it all completely.
Yeah.
I was very happy. It's the most succinct and coherent thing we've ever written.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. I look forward to people hearing it.
Yeah. When's that going to happen? Do you know?
Next year. We're going to take some time off. We're going to have a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
So probably later next year.
Okay.
Some point.
That's a good point to finish.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Cool.
Thanks, man.
The Marshall Podcast.
Thank you for listening to episode 5 of the Marshall Podcast. Obviously, Marshall.com is the spot for all your wants and desires, not just amps, but also amazing headphones and Bluetooth speakers and sunglasses, etc. IDLESband.com for everything to do with today's guest, and I'm at Daniel P. Carter on the socials. If you want to get in contact, hit me up there, and also let me know who from the Marshall family you'd like on the podcast in 2020. Until then, I am out. Peace.